And it's not only the whole needing to build the fundamentals at the beginning isn't just for the people who want to compete on the team and at the 4-star level or, even preliminary internationally at all. I think one of the biggest focuses in the sport worldwide the last few years has been building really educated amateurs and nicely started, nicely produced young horses at all levels so that the sport can continue to grow from the bottom up. I mean, I guess a certain percentage of those people will end up going to the top.
Sure, but I think and I believe that there's 5 levels of learning in sport, right? And the first one, you got to learn the technique. This is how you hold hands. This is how the reins work. This is how you move your seat, which is kind of never ending. You always have to go back to the basics. This is how your seat works. This is your position, la, 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 la. And then the second part of that learning has got to be the theoretical part, and which I think we're weak at in North America. And then the third section then leads to instinct, to where you're starting to react to something even before you think of it, much kind of like driving a car. And that is where most people that can't study it forever drop off. Right. I mean, and that's the level that they should raise to. After that, then it becomes about intuition and philosophy, and then becomes setting up programs, and then it becomes imagination. That's the real top level. But to get most young riders and amateurs up to the instinct level, where they are noticing what happens underneath, reacting to it, and getting an answer. That produces a safe, fun, a blast sport. And I really believe those are the steps that we all have to go back to and make the fundamentals better so that a rider becomes more instinctual on that day.
Mm-hmm. Whether it's a training 3-day or the Olympic Games.
Absolutely, novice level. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, my whole thing about even picking the Olympic teams and all that kind of stuff is when somebody's going through a selection trial and all that stuff, are they in the moment, are they reacting to what's going on underneath them? And if they are, and they're in that type of mindset and they have the ability to react and get an answer, that person's now ready for a big test.
So part of your program with the developing of young riders, and not only the young riders, but those of us who are up competing on the national team, is that final bit of getting your mental game. How would you say you've helped prepare your riders for dealing with the stress of the international competition?
Well, I think, as you know, one of my favorite phrases is that it is what it is, right? And that really means that are you noticing what happens underneath you at that very moment? And it's not a preconceived idea of just what you want, which you've been working on for weeks or months, years. But it is what it is, and you're reacting to that moment. And it's being in a mindset that can deal with that. So people get nervous, right? And they get nervous because they want to be competitive. They get nervous because they're anxious. They get nervous because they have a sense of even lack of security, and about falling off and things like that. And you always have to beat that by going back and again realizing in a mental way of what's happening underneath you and reacting just to that. One of my favorite stories is somebody going up a set of stairs to a zip line, and a lady in front of this guy is really, really scared, right, because of the zip line, right, and the heights and all that, and so she's just freaking out, and he goes, well, you know how to walk up a set of stairs, because that's all you're doing right now is walking up a set of stairs. You're not on a zip line. You're just walking up a set of stairs. Now, you know how to do that. And then, and so then that was the talk through. It was right, again, react to this, not something that's 7 steps in front of you. React to this, and what's that going to do? Right. Of course, when she gets hooked on the zip line, he goes, now you can be scared. But
that's part of the fun.
But that realization of trying to get people to get themselves into a mindset, and then their body will follow it, instead of going the other way around, just working so technically that they get lost in the details, and it's actually not what's happening underneath them.
Right.
One of my things is more leg. I hate that, right? Because everybody said, more leg. Well, the question actually is more leg to do what? To go faster, go slower, go sideways? What's more leg? So that is, it ends up being a standard question, standard answer type of thing. But again, what are you trying to do first? And people can think through that. If you give them the time, you give them the tools, then they can conquer their anxiety. That is the mental side of it, whether you're competing at Olympic Games or whether you're going beginner novice on a 4-year-old or an amateur that's actually got anxieties because of some past history. So that is a big part of it. It is what it is. You got to realize what's happening right there and react to that, not to something else.
And definitely having faith in what you've been taught and the fact that you know how to climb stairs. Just because you're at a show doesn't mean that you haven't practiced your test or you haven't jumped the kind of jump that you're supposed to go and jump at a show.
White box is a white box.
Exactly. It's like making sure you're actually prepared to the level at which you're competing so that you can have faith in what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I would say the white box is a white box. I mean, dressage ring is dressage ring.
Right.
It doesn't change. Still white.
Yeah.
The letters are always black.
Exactly.
And doesn't matter. So where is it? Is it in the middle of a field? Is it in the middle of an arena? What's the difference? And if you can always do the same work in the white box, then it doesn't matter where it is.
That's definitely what I rely on at competitions, is the fact that I've worked really hard at home. So why am I nervous here? Because I know how to do what I'm supposed to do.
Just do the same thing over and over again. Absolutely.